Welcome back to another exciting conversation here on Effective Living. I am joined with yours truly, RJ Miller, my son. Oh my Lord. How are you doing, son? How are you doing?
Man, I'm doing great. It's a truly joyous day to be alive. I'll say that say the least. I'm really excited to be here.
Good stuff. Good stuff. Ladies and gentlemen, if you don't know, I have to announce it very clearly. It showed it in the slide initially. My son turns 21 years old today. 21 today. And I just wanted to have a conversation with him. We're going to go out and have steak. We're going to have a meal. And we're going to enjoy ourselves out on the town. But I said, let me document this. And I want to pick his brains. I want to ask him some tough questions. I want to put him out there. He may end up putting me out there, but let's go ahead and let's talk about it, because I think 21 is an amazing year for anybody, for all of us. Whenever you make it to 21, it's a great year to be 21, especially in the United States of America. It's like he's legal now, okay? He still doesn't drink, ladies and gentlemen. Still don't drink, okay? And so he's legal, but he's not going to take advantage of the crazy stuff that they say is for 21 and older. So how do you feel, man? Happy birthday, RJ.
I'm feeling great. As I would say that leading up into this birthday has been it's been quite eventful. However, it's been a great year to kick it off with. I think that telling a lot of my peers and just telling everybody in general, I think that 2023 is probably going to be one of the most transformative years I've had for myself.
Yeah.
All the lessons I've learned, and it's only the first 3 months, and I'm gonna be 21 for the rest of this year going on. So I think I'm going to be approaching into all the different challenges and the lessons that are going to be taught to me throughout this year. I'm excited for it. What was it? But that's to say, I think that particularly for this 21st birthday is going to be really exciting for the fact that, um, it's not like I haven't been an adult for several years now or anything like that, but
Not the several years, several years. Okay, go ahead.
yeah, what was it? But I think that considering the fact that for spring break, actually for my 21st birthday, I'm planning to go down to South Padre Island with a couple of my friends. And it's like I guess it's just a culmination of a lot of things that growing up I always like just dreamed about. And like talking with like my close friends from fourth and sixth and fifth grade and be like, man, yeah, bro, just like imagine when you can take road trips together and go out to just go and experience life, go to different parks and climb mountains and this all the crazy stuff. And I was just like, man, like, I've had a great opportunity to experience a lot of those things, thankfully enough for the way that I was raised and the people around me. And like now I feel like this upcoming birthday is one of the first opportunities I'm doing that of my own volition. Was it putting together this whole road trip with me and I think it's 8 other people, like all going down to South Padre Island for an 8-hour drive. And midway through this whole week trip, I'm also going to be having a modeling photo shoot. So I'm going to be driving back down to Austin. It's just like, man, I've got business, I've got life, and I've got work and all these things, different things balanced. But it's just truly interesting, like in the whole scheme of life. I feel like this 21st birthday is truly going to be a great one to remember.
Good stuff. Good stuff. I want to probe. I want to do some reflection. I want to probe, and I want to look at you know when you look back over your life. When you look back over your life, we're going to talk about a number of different things. Let's start with education. Significant moments in education. RJ Miller, his 21-year-old perspective. You remember elementary, remember middle school, remember high school. You're in college now, and when you look back over, what's your view on education? What's your view on what's your takeaway so far as to how much you appreciate it, how much you regret it, how much you are embracing it, how much you see about it that maybe you didn't see about it before? Are you thinking you will see something totally different? What's your view on education at this point?
So I think that to preface everything, to start off with, I would like to say that I think that the biggest impact that has impacted my educational journey, which to me is still like it's kind of crazy to think about. I think that to this day, the biggest impact I've had is the teachers that I had in my early childhood. I think that my was one of my first teachers I can remember that taught me the fact that learning can be fun and it can be an enjoyable experience is my teacher from 7th and 8th grade, Mr. Torres, or we all just called him Mr. T. But I remember back then being in his class, like I legitimately had a passion and a fervor and just a genuine joy for learning about like Texas history. And I was just like, man, like all this stuff is like really interesting, to the Alamo, to our independence, to this, that, whatever. I'm just like, man, all these different dynamics are really, really fascinating to learn about. Now, however, to say, going back into what you briefly talked about over in like regrets and this, that, whatever, there are also plenty of teachers and professors I've now had in college that, haven't given me that equally as a enjoyable experience in education. But I would say that learning at an early age, the fact that, you can enjoy the process of learning, it opened up my eyes to to how broad the whole concept of learning is now today. Because then looking back at it was because I mean, I feel like I was always quite an intelligent kid to want to learn a lot of stuff. Shoot, back in like was it fifth, sixth, seventh grade, and all those different grades and stuff like that. I used to get in trouble for actually reading books in class. Was it trying to go ahead and just like finish my math assignment the day before so I could just pull out my book and get back to reading? I'm like, RJ, why are you reading The Maze Runner in math class? I'm just like, because I already did the assignment. I just like get back to my book, please. I'm like, RJ, put the book away. But yeah, so like that whole concept and the fact of like learning, always want to take in knowledge and those other great things. Learning that at an early age, I feel like has leaned in and has helped me learn the whole concept of where I'm at now with being a student of life. Knowing the fact that, going through college now, I think that one of the biggest things that I've met and all the different peers that I've experienced through college is the fact that, a lot of us, like, we realize just like, dude, we are paying to be here. Before, like in high school, this, that, whatever, this was our everyday. We had to be here, this, that, whatever. But now it's just like, hey, you better go to class because, buddy, you're paying for this. Just like you are paying to further educate yourself and further advance yourself. So if you don't want to go to class, the only person's time who you're wasting is yours. So it's just like a matter of just like, I've met plenty of peers and plenty of friends who are just like, oh yeah, college isn't the route for me, this, that, whatever. I'm like, hey, trust me, I understand you in that, right? Because I mean, for me, I'm a communications major. And even in that still, I feel like I literally had to have a reevaluation of myself last semester, trying to refine my direction. Because for the longest time, like I chose communication just because I felt like it was the general avenue I should be doing.
Yeah.
Going from my first initial major of being a philosophy major. For those who didn't know, I used to be a philosophy major. That was my first major in college whenever I was planning to go to UTA. And was it Dad? I don't know if you're one of the people begging and pleading. My mom was specifically one of them. It was just like, RJ, please don't choose philosophy. I was like, why not? I was like, this is very fitting for me. What was it like? I was just like, I think a lot. Thought experiments are my thing. And then like literally when I announced it to my class, they were like, yeah, that sounds about right. And I was just like, yeah, philosophy, fitting. But she was like, what are you going to do with the philosophy degree? I was like, I don't know. I was just like, please just choose something else. So I was like, all right. So then I went on to business administration. I said, all right, I'll do business admin. I'll go into corporate law because, I was thinking about doing domestic law and stuff like that, dealing with families. But then knowing my bleeding heart, I was just like, yeah, no, I don't want to have to deal with very intense cases on a day-to-day basis. And knowing the fact that some people's lives are going to be in my hands. And I went into corporate law, but then I ended up going through my first accounting class, did well in it. When my business law class, did well in it. But I sat there and realized, I was like, man, can I do this for the rest of my life? And I remember legitimately hearing some of my other peers talk about their speech class and talk about them going to their speech. Oh, I'm so stressed about this speech here. Oh, I'm so stressed about this speech there. I'm just like, I'm jealous. I didn't think I could be jealous of another person having schoolwork, but I was just like, if I could dress up as you and do your speech for you and you could do my accounting homework, I'd still do my accounting homework, but I would definitely do the speech for you. Like, please, like this speaking thing is like what I love to do. So I was just like, all right, maybe I should switch major to communications. Had a conversation with you, had a conversation with my academic advisor, had a conversation with my boss since I work over at my school. All of them were just like, yeah, RJ, we think this would be a great decision to go with. So I'm now being over as a communications major, I tell this whole story to say, even as a communications major here now today, and my safe plan being going into news broadcasting, this, that, and third, at the end of the day, whenever I had to come into my mental realization of what the direction is for me in college last semester, I sat there and I sat there in my head because subconsciously I was like, RJ, you don't even think that this degree is going to be helpful for you, bro, because what you want to do doesn't even require a degree technically. It was just like you want to do what your dad does. You want to do you want to act, model, and inspire people, and motivate the masses. It's what you do for free, and it's what you would want to get paid for. So I was like, technically, I don't need a degree for that. So I was sitting there like half teetering, like I was getting my classwork done, but it was just like my previous taking 15 credit hours RJ and still getting all A's RJ was not there. This was like a okay, I can live with the C. I can live with the B. I can live with the, oh, okay, I'll miss this assignment. I'll make it up with for another one. So I was just sitting there, just coasting and cruising along. And then whenever classes hit, because classes will always come to hit you in that midterms final season, I had to lock in to say, all right, RJ, if you want to get through this season, you're going to have to find your why. So I went and found my why. I said, all right, I started doing some research for the other people for the people in the positions that I want to get to. Oh man, what's his name? I forgot. He's a pastor. He was known for like Monday motivations, but what was it? He actually has a doctorate in communications. Then I searched up another motivational speaker that I was really interested in. They have they have a degree in communications. Then like I started doing more research in the people in the positions that I want to get to, and I was just like, yeah, a few of them don't have degrees, but some of these guys do have degrees. And I was like, all right, cool. And then the other thing that compounded on top of that was in my job getting to go to a leadership conference and talk to other MCs who are literally getting paid to just speak to college students and organize this whole event. I talked to them. I was just like, oh yeah, no, that MC's a doctor. That MC's a doctor. And they're both doctors in either communications or like psychology. So I was just like, huh, okay, yeah, no. So although like you don't get an internship or like what was it like how can I find my degree to kind of be kind of funny, or my whole story to be kind of goofy, is the fact that like my best friends that I met in college are people who are going in a very like straight line for well, I'm starting to meet some friends who aren't going in that straight line for college, but most of my friends are nursing majors, engineering majors, bio, chemistry, this, that, whatever. So all of them, as soon as you finish off college, then you go and get an internship, you go and do this, you go and do that. It's a straight line. There is a day by day, there's a step-by-step process of what you need to do to, achieve what you need to achieve. Me, on the other hand, that is not the case. There is no motivational speakers, like giant company that can go to internship at this, that, whatever. There is no, oh, was you want to build up your social media brand so you can have people pay you to do what you do. There is no class for that. There is no giant corporate office for that I need to go and apply to. My resume is going to be purely based off of what my own passions and desires show. So with that all being the case and having that whole reevaluation for myself nearing the end of the year, was nearing the end of that last semester, I came into the realization of being a lifelong student in life not only means learning the lessons of life and being all very caught up in my head with all the different books and thought processes I do, but also learning the processes of what life has to give you in your now, whether that be your school, whether that be your work, or whether that be your friends. Make sure to learn the lessons that you're taking in now. But yeah, got a little carried away on that one, but
That's all right. That's all right. Now, the day is 21, ladies and gentlemen. 21 years. Today is day 20. We're celebrating 21 years. I remember this picture, RJ. You remember this picture?
yeah.
Uh, I remember both pictures. And so today he's 21 years old. We're talking and reflecting for a minute. And I wanted to dive in and talk to you about a few things. Education being one of them, as you're finding your way to tap into the thing that you believe God is calling you to do. And I believe you're doing a great job. And so I'm loving it being your dad, watching you on your journey. So the first phase of what's your view on education? Next question I'm going to ask you is, along the way, you're a PK. You grew up in church. Your faith journey. What would you say now that you're 21? A lot of people say millennials are walking away from God. A lot of people say, college is the years where people normally don't plug in no more. That's not necessarily the case for everybody. And you're in the heartbeat of, I'm a college student. I just turned 21. Your faith respond to my question tonight. What do you say?
So I think that's it's very funny coming around to that, actually, because just recently, I think for probably the past few weeks now or so, I actually started a Bible study over at my school with a few other one of my coworkers is a Christian, another one of them a Christian, and then we also end up meeting another girl in our office who she ended up coming by, and she actually runs her own Bible study and everything like that. So I bring up this whole Bible study thing to come into the point of faith, to the fact that whenever it comes into my personal journey, whenever it pertains to my faith, I think that it's been a very adventurous one, right, to say the least. Growing up in an Adventist school and that whole system, and growing up there from third grade all the way up to graduation, and even being there for a little bit in pre-kindergarten, I knew that system like the back of my hand. However, in that duality of it, I also on weekends went to a completely different faith. It seemed like in was it my actual home church and my was it my family at Pathway. Went to church on Sundays, but the school I went to taught going to church on Saturdays, and that that breeded a prime ground for some internal conflict. So with that being the case and everything like that, like I think that in the last 2 years, my high school experience is whenever I started really going in with the actual like logistics of my faith. I ended up taking dual credit religion class over at school, which was funny enough. I was only taking the class with another PK who was an Adventist PK. The was it the pastor for our school, like was the student pastor for our school, and was this other girl who was known who was very very well known for being like extremely on to her like Seventh-day Adventist faith. And then there was me, the Sunday going church kid who just happens to know a lot about everything that you guys know about. And it was just kind of funny like sitting there in the class and be like, oh yeah, like in casual conversation and day-to-day experiences at that school, literally no one would have guessed that I was not Adventist, that I wasn't of their same faith, because they would sit there and it's like, oh yeah, no, I know how to respect all the different beliefs, I know all the different rules, I knew like all the different in and out and intricacies. They're like, oh wait, so why do you do both? I'm just like, well, because, my parents like this system. They like the way you guys operate, but also, this is the way that I was raised. And like, you guys teach that the people that I was raised around aren't the greatest. So it's just like, I need to know exactly why you guys think like that. So then going through that whole process, going through that deep process of, learning more about the faith and learning more about the rules of religion as a whole and everything like that. I think that going through that whole process, I then took a step back to then build my own personal journey with God at the time, right? But then, was it kind of coming back into a concept that I've recently covered in our Bible studies, is the fact that whenever God has something destined for you and you're walking a path that isn't conflicting with His, it may not be the exact path that He wants for you, but you're walking a good path. He's going to end up finding a way to pull you back into what you want, what He wants for you, or He's going to show it to you. And if you have the spirit of discernment, if you have some clarity, you'll see that little guideline that He's trying to show to you. So with that being the case, right? Like I've had now several instances in Bible study wherein my other were and the other people in there would be like, man, RJ, just like, dude, you should be a pastor. Man, RJ, like, what was it? Like, oh, how long have you been doing this? Oh man, RJ, your prayers are really good. Oh, the word that you brought out right there was really good. And like, I'm taking out basic concepts and then like, I think that one of the greatest examples that I experienced in this was one of my friends, Javon, I decided that for our Bible study night that I wanted for us to have on Wednesdays, I wanted for us to cover what we covered on that previous Sunday whenever we went to church, right? So I went through and I covered what was actually your sermon. So everybody was really, really enjoying that time. I wrote down the notes and I was just like, hey, I literally only gave them the 7 points. And I was just like, guys, that's literally not even a quarter of the notes. It's just, I don't feel like having to go through here, re-understand the whole message and then trying to give it to you. I feel like just giving you what I can at the moment, not trying to waste your time, because we are on a good time schedule and everything like that. But then after I gave him the 7 points, my friend Jamal went on to go and give his point. And it was talking about the fact that, I think the point that, like the general point that it came around to is the fact that, God like as a growing Christian, no, that was your point. It was like the fact that God, He'll bring you into things whenever you're ready. And like, although you may not think you're ready, he'll only bring you to stuff whenever you're ready. And sometimes the world's no's may be His maybes. So then to kind of give more context into like what I meant by that whole thing, like whenever he set off just like the basic point and everything like that. And then we had like a small discussion about when we moved on. And like, I was sitting there after he said that point, I just kind of leaned back. I was just like, no, but I was just like, I was like, hey guys, hold on. I was like, can we come back to that point real quick? Coming back to what Javon's point was actually, I feel like that has so much great weight in our lives today. Cause I'm thinking about, I'm just like, man, bro, like I had one reel that I sat there and like, I put a whole bunch of different time into. I did the research for marketing, everything like that. I was like, man, like I was really happy about the way I put it together. It did statistically way better than my other previous ones. It got similar likes, but it did almost like 1,000 more views. So I was like, man, what was it? Like I was sitting there, I was like coasting on a high. I was just like, all right, yeah, cool, man. I was like, hey, we're kind of doing this thing, man. We're kind of doing it. It's 2,500 views. That's like in the grand scheme, that's a drop in the bucket. That's not even that, right? But I was sitting there, I got complacent from that. I had a creative block and I stopped making reels for a while. But then after while I was sitting there, this has been happening for a few days before the Bible study. But after my friend Javon had said that in that point, I was just like, man, bro, nah, because the way that God works, He knows whenever you're ready for something before you even think that you're ready. There's a reason why only 2,500 was given to me. God knew if I got 100, if I got 10,000, 100,000, a million views on that video, I would have been paralyzed by how big that was. Now I'm like, how do I even top that? Where do I go on from there? He knows full well that he can't give you everything that you want right now. It's going to be overwhelming to you. So I was just like, was that whole constant everything like, and then after I was bringing that up and like, had that whole discussion, the like bring out more light from that point that Javon had given us, the whole room just started up. Everybody was just like, oh my God, like, yeah, RJ, you're right. And they started writing stuff back down, everything like that. I was just like, and then what was it? A few months, like the friend that had actually asked to lead out our Bible study said, man, RJ, like you're really giving me some great like personal insight for a lot of stuff that you're saying. Like you're personally affirming like some of the stuff that I feel like God's been trying to tell me. And I'm just like, man, God, this is how you've been using me. Like this is how you've been wanting to go. And just like I'm just talking. Like I'm literally just saying what comes to mind. So to kind of wrap up everything in that point, talking about the journey of what my faith has been, it's had a lot of ups and downs. It's had a lot of confusing moments, topsy-turvy moments, and everything like that. But I think that kind of coming back into what I felt like growing up as a kid, I feel like plenty of people, for all those who are watching, I imagine there are plenty of times in which you guys saw little me and big Ricardo Miller and be like, one day that little one's going to be like him up on that stage. And I was sitting there, the prayers were amazing, this, that, and the third. But however, I didn't see that same image that everybody else saw. However, as I'm getting older, it seems like that same theme is starting to repeat itself back in my life. And I believe that, God works everything for a reason. So with that being the case, and seeing how real everything seems to be becoming in my spiritual journey in life, I think that coming back to what I said at the beginning, 2023 about to be the most transformative year for me, spiritually, financially, and growth-wise and career-wise. I think that 21 is going to be something that's going to be very, very revolutionary, with a whole bunch of different revelations when it comes to my spiritual journey. If you guys saw a lot of me then before and what RJ has to say and do, if God continues working through me as he has been already, my voice might begin to multiply, because that also shows how much God can do work, man. He'll take whatever little grain of mustard seed of faith you throw into him and he'll turn it into a whole oak tree. So yeah, that's been my growth journey through my current growth journey through my faith as of late.
Listen, it's been impressive. I've watched you navigated the whole school awkward thing. You and I have had a number of conversations. I actually told you you're going to come out stronger for it, and I believe you have. And it's all God. It's all God, and He's going to work it together for your good as you continue to move forward. Today, ladies and gentlemen, my son turns 21 years old. And so, yep, he was once the little kid that would sit on my shoulder while I was going to the gym. And now he's wanting to so-called square off and look like he got a shoulder and a chest and abs and so forth. Come on, RJ. Come on, give me one. Come on, look at it. There you go. There. Look at it. Come on, where you at? There you go. Show me, right? Ah. Hey, listen, the next time we travel, Karen, we're gonna plan a trip again. And next time we do the waters, I'm going for, as I move towards 50, I want 6 pack, I want, come on, right? And you have to show me how to do the full squat. So when I do my reel, I can keep up
all the poses and all that.
All the poses. I want to learn the poses. Come on. I want to learn the poses.
Get the lat spread for your back and all that.
I know some people be trying to hate talking about it's genetics. It's God. Tell them it's God. Okay.
It's God.
Let's spicy it up. Okay. We talk a little bit about education. We talk about faith. I want to talk about finances, your views, and money. Money answered all things pertaining to life. What have you learned about money yet? You impressed me the other day. We were picking up some suits, and you said, "Hey, I got a second job." I'm like, "Hoorah!" I always believe that you should have had 2 jobs. You know what they said? An idle hand is a devil workshop, and so I'm like, why waste time? Go ahead and hustle every day. I'm hustling, and it was very impressive that you were showing that you were prepared to put in the work. And the Bible says, what you sow, you will reap. What you put out, you're going to get back. And so the whole concept of money, what's your view on it? You've done some investing. You've done some studies in crypto. You've done You've been working now for a while. You've got to file taxes. When it comes to the term money, at 21 years old, ladies and gentlemen, today, my son turned 21, so tonight he's 21. We're talking money. What's your view on money? We said education. We talk a little bit about faith. I want to hear your view on money.
Well, is my view on money right now, man, is I need more of it. Um, but
Don't we
only
all?
like I think that like the actual like real life logistics of it and everything like that. That learning how important obviously already knowing how important money is, but knowing how intentional you can be to further get more resources out of your money it's been eye opening. I think that like going back through and doing like a self reevaluation and self analysis of what my finances have looked like over the past few years. And my granny just recently asked me, she asked me just like, she saw this video and it was like a finance guru. And she was just like, oh, what was it? Here's ways you can invest your money in some stocks. What was it like how it used to be in the past? If you wanted to invest money in stocks, you had to buy the whole stock, but now you can buy fractional stocks. And it was a long story short, she was suggesting this index fund called VTI. And whenever I was sitting there and I saw like as soon as I heard her saying, "Oh, why don't you buy all the stocks?" I was just in the back of my head, I was just like, I already know where she's going with this, and I was just like, if she's going where I think she's going with this, I'm kind of disappointed. Because I was just but then to even realize, like after I seen the whole video, I already knew exactly what stock she was going to talk about, and then whenever I saw that stock, I saw what it's dang, what was it? I forgot what the term was I used. I saw what its what its value was pretty much, and its value was right at where it was last time. Whenever I last had invested in that stock, actually, and I had to go and liquidate all my stocks over this past year to go and help pay for some car repairs. But whenever I was sitting there looking at it, I was just like, well, given the fact that it's been at least a year since the last time I had in that stock. And whenever I first bought it, it was worth even less than this. But it appreciated to where it's at now. It stayed generally at the same $200 range for the past several years. I mean, of course, it's going to be a long-term investment for some of this stuff, but was talking to my granny. I was like, there is definitely much better place you can invest your money in. I mean, a VTI, it's safe. It's really safe, matter of fact. But I just don't think that was it. Like, I just don't think it'd be a good investment. And then, like, after having the whole conversation with her, I was just like, man, bro, RJ, the fact that you were able to have that conversation about stocks and feel utterly confident about the whole thing, because the fact that you have once been there was kind of crazy. So I was just like, huh, wow. So, I think that like going through the journey of being 21, it's actually kind of funny and a bit ironic to the fact that I feel like I want to pull my mindset a few years back to where where it was before, and to the matter of what used to be on the forefront of my mind was building up stocks and investments and having having a portfolio. And that was like pretty much my whole thing. Like I used to literally be sitting at a point where my stock portfolio was never sitting below $1,500. It was always fluctuating in value and everything because the nature of the market. But that was the case for it, and I was always putting in my money for it and everything like that. But the case of how life goes, life happened. Had to help some people here, had to help some people there, had to help myself here, had to help myself there, everything like that. But then coming into the duality of it and looking at like the whole grand scheme of everything, I'm just like, huh, yeah, I'm now, like over the past year or so, I've been very experiential based. I've been like, hey, yeah, RJ, as long as you continue to work hard, your money's going to come back. Man, RJ, you're wrong. You're going to have a great time on this trip to South Padre. But after this, we locking in, because you want to know what, in the same way I said before, got to grow in all facets of my life by the end of 2023. And that means being able to build my portfolio back up. And that also means now what used to be before, and also learning about my experience in stocks and my experience in financial investments is just the power of me. I used to keep everything pretty self-contained, but over this past year, where I think that has helped me although I strayed away from my saving ways, and I got more experience. I got to meet more new people and doing a whole bunch of different things in life, from being outside to 7th Street to to talking with new friends, to going bowling on random nights, to where in those times and stuff, I wouldn't have done those things. I was trying to save the money. But now, in having done that, I've made so many new connections. And in meeting those new connections, the two new parts in which I feel like I've learned a lot now are starting my own businesses, actually. And secondly, credit. So the first one, starting my own businesses? That's actually started off from meeting other peers. Through my own work study job and in that office space, and knowing some of the people that I do in there. Like, man, I've met some other like 19, 18-year-old, 20-year-olds that are sitting there making tens of thousands of dollars a year. Like, tens of thousands of dollars a month. Like, what was it? Like, so I'm sitting there just like, man, bro, like, how are you doing it? And I'm here sitting here getting to pick these guys' brains. And like the fact that we're both like, was the fact that we both like, I feel like hustlers or was ambitious people can kind of see whenever there's another ambitious person because you both kind of get this glow whenever talking about something and having those conversations with those different people. It's been absolutely eye opening to know about the fact that, you know, after I build up my basis for my stock investment portfolio, I also have some great people to go into future business ventures with has got me really excited. But then the second thing in which I feel like was if I've been trying to push for this to be an agenda for us to have in our office for honestly years now at this point. I missed the first one, but is a conversation with college students about credit. Because with me, I think the credit is actually, I was going to say probably, no, it definitely has saved my life at this point. Was not to say it's just like, oh yeah, you know, being able to swipe my card everywhere has been super, super helpful. No, it's the matter of the fact that I feel like I built my credit in an early stage in the right process, that it's allowed for me to be able to stay afloat in times where logistically I shouldn't have been able to stay afloat. Was in times where I had to go and help my mom with the car repair, and it was literally all my money. And I was just like, what do I do now from here? I had I had a card at the time with $1,000 credit line. I mean, I'm not going to use $1,000, kids. It was everybody listening. Do not use all your credit line. Keep it below 50% usage rate. That's one point you got gather from here. Keep below 15% usage rate. But going from there, just like understand the fact that I have a little bit of extra money to be able to squeeze and get by some tighter situations in life, and keeping up with a good habit of continuously paying off bills and continuously paying off the credit and continuously building up my credit to where it's gotten to now at about, I think, 740 or 750. Like now sitting there with the maximum credit line of $5,500, and the fact that I haven't asked for any kind of extensions because I haven't needed it, and just like the fact that how much has been able to help and aid me into where I need to go. Was it for whether it be future business ventures and how much has helped me, or just helping off for pay for car repairs. I think that was it financially, credit, and learning about different business ventures from other peers and stuff like that has been two of the biggest things that I've really, really enjoyed in my current journey, and something that was two of the things that I'm really, really looking forward to in my future. Because man, money is great, and there are so many amazing things you can pull off with money. And I think that especially for the lifestyle that I was blessed to be able to come into with all the different things that you guys have been able to show me growing up, to the conferences, traveling all around the world, all around the United States and everything like that. It opened my eyes at an early age to the fact of what the world can be. And as I've gotten older, the world has only gotten larger. So with that being the case, you know, someone who values an experience very much so, who was very scared to go snowboarding and now loves it, for someone who his dad asked him if he wanted to go skydiving and said yes at the snap of a whim, someone who wanted to travel out to New York and did it right whenever he got the opportunity. There's too much great stuff in life to be able to pass up on, that money is usually the factor that you need to be able to get into it for. And then not even only just that, but then money, I feel like also is a great catalyst to be able to help others. Knowing the fact that, man, was it helping my mom through an intermittent period in time, and helping myself through an intermittent period and having a finger infection. Terrible. Knowing how much money is helpful for whenever you're paying for medical bills, whenever you're paying for car repairment, whenever you're paying for just the cost of life in general. It's not to sit here and stress any other people or any other young adults that are listening to this, but it's to say of how important, how mindful you can be for it. And you know, the fact that it's not as hard as you may think to be able to get financial literacy and get hold of your finances. It's just a matter of, you need to be aware. Awareness is, I feel like, the first great step of it is. So, you know, even if it's just writing down all your expenses out for a day, that one step can help you save a lifetime of expenses and mistakes in the future. So that good. I would say is in my financial journey so far.
Listen, when I was 21, RJ, the late Bishop Dean Wells advised me to make a stock investment in Cable Bahamas. For those of you that are watching in the Bahamas, at the time, he advised me to invest in cable. You probably heard me talk about this before.
Oh yeah.
And I missed that opportunity. He also advised me to buy bonds in the bridge, the second bridge when they built it from Nassau, New Providence side to Paradise Island side. Had the money too, RJ, and didn't invest in the bridges. I was about 21. And he mentioned three things that I did not jump on. I'm going to refer to them. You've heard me talk about all three of them, but I want you to master them at 21 moving forward. Cash is king. Cash is king. Gotta have some cash, man. Stockpile cash. Access to cash is king. Credit is golden. Okay? Credit is golden, man. Listen, if you got cash and you have credit, oh man. But here's the deal. Incredible credit. You know, you got that 820, you can pretty much almost, sign for stuff and don't even have cash. But if you have cash and you have credit, come on now. So cash is king and credit is golden. And then the last one he mentioned that I'm now leaning on at this age in my life is that investment is wisdom, or investment is wise. The Bible says wisdom is the principal thing, and in all you're getting, get an understanding. Guess what? You're 21 today, 41 is coming. Yeah. You're 21 today, 51 is coming. You know, you're 21 today, 21 is coming, 31 is coming, 21 is coming, 21 is here, 31 is coming, 41 is coming, 51 is coming. You know what I'm saying? And the unfortunate thing is most people, when they're 21, they're just living for 21. I wish I had not just heard what he said, but committed to what he had said when I was 21. You know? So now you're 21. Cash is king. Okay? Credit is golden. And investment is wise, or is wisdom. And in any man lack wisdom, let him ask of God. What do I need to invest in? Because here's the deal. Something you've invested in today, when you're my age, which I'm 47 now, and you're 21, you can look back and say, I can choose not to work because I like how I've chosen to intentionally invest. You know what I'm saying? You can't lose. So I love your financial journey. I'm watching you learn how and what to do with money. And I believe God is going to do you extremely well when it comes to financially positioning you in the earth. Okay? You didn't come from a bad place, but you're sure could be at 100 times better place than what you've ever seen, when the truth is what you came through was just to set you up for what you're going to. Guess that? What you came through is just to set you up for what you're going to. So the best is yet to come when it comes to finance. Got a couple more and then we're going to end our talk. Tonight I'm talking with RJ Miller, ladies and gentlemen, my son who turns 21 today. Yeah, okay, 21 today. Boy, the boy does time fly. And so if you're watching, go ahead and put a comment in the comment section. 21 years old today. It's RJ's birthday, and I wanted to have a conversation, something we're going to document this whole moment and just think about it. RJ, when you're 25, we're going to sit down and have a guy's breakfast, and we're going to talk about this stuff. Yeah. We're going to talk about this stuff. We're going to go back and watch this, and then we're going to talk about it. Okay? We're going to talk about it. But the next one I want to talk about friends and family. The lessons you've learned about friends and family. And along the way, you know, some people, boy, when you were in elementary school, you thought they would be with you forever. When you were in middle school, you thought they would be with you forever. When you were in high school, you thought it would be. Then graduation happened, and everybody they just spread out there. They just went all over the place, right? And now you're in college and you're coming up with feeling like you got brothers and friends that are connected again. You're growing up. You're not under the same roof you were raised in over the years. Eventually, you've seen cousins and you've seen your mom, you've seen your dad, you've seen your aunties, your uncles, you've seen grandparents aging. The concept of family, the concept of friends. You're 21. What's your view on it? What's life lesson you've gathered so far?
I think that my favorite life lesson I've gathered from friends and family so far is the importance of building that relationship. Like going into it and looking at where life has been leading me right now, I would say that, you know, although I'm not as close with like my friends who I still call my brothers to this day, Jason, Jordan, Mark, Brandon, all their siblings and everything like that. What was it? Still to this day, I value them and hold them closely to my heart as ever.
Yeah.
However, like in the principle that I was us not talking on an everyday basis, us not seeing each other on an everyday basis anymore. I still feel like somehow my relationships are probably in one of the more positive areas that they've ever been in my life. And although it may not feel like that to myself sometimes, although it may not feel like that to everybody else sometimes, I feel like learning the importance of checking in on people, learn the importance of what common niceties can do, and learn the importance of the fact that one of the things that you told me so much growing up is that people are going to come in seasons, and leaning into the importance of that and understanding when a person's season is and embracing them for whenever their season is there and present is, I think it's been so powerful. Like looking at it to today, right? My South Padre trip now could not have been pulled together as well as it is right now, had I not had a great friend inside this group that helped pull everything together logistics wise. She is the SGA president over at TCC South Campus, and she's the same girl that I'll be out here having fun with. It's a great time, and that's one of my greatest homegirls. Love Karina so much. And this trip literally couldn't have been pulled off so well executed without her. And the main reason in which why why this whole thing was even able to work together like this is because the fact that I built that relationship, like was we hung out was in school and hung out after class, hung out inside of our office space, like everything like that. Checking in, having genuine conversations with the person, building that good relationship is built a great basis for them to be able to come and help me in my life, and for me to be able to help them in theirs. And like literally, I remember the point in which, like the turning point in which she really started really helping in the trip was like I was really overwhelmed with something at that point. I was overwhelmed with something at the time, right? And I had to do something in work. I had to plan together this trip, and then I also had to plan together something else. And I was just like, what was it? Like literally, my friends, they just saw me like, what was it? Like they called me over and say, "Hey RJ, so which Airbnb do you want to do?" I came over. I was just like, "Okay, let's do this one." They're like, "All right, but this one has this, and this con. Like this one has these and pros. This one has these and cons." And like they just saw my face, and like I don't know if they could see a spirit or something or whatever. They were like, "RJ, you good?" And I was just staring off like, they're like, "RJ, you look really stressed, bro." I was just like, "No, I'm fine." They were like, "Yeah, RJ, buddy, this is your birthday trip. You shouldn't be this stressed." And then she was like, "RJ, you know what? Don't worry about the trip. I got you." And I was just like, "Are you sure?" Because I was just like, "Because we got to find out what Airbnb we got to do. We got to find out what place can house this many of us. We got to find out how far it is from the actual beach. We got to find out." She's like, "RJ, let me get it." I was just like, "All right, cool." Later that night, she had an entire PowerPoint ready. Each PowerPoint had the link and a few pictures of each Airbnb option, and she ranked them in order of which ones would be best for us. And she put the distance of how far it was from the actual island. We went through and vetted that whole thing in a matter of days for what could have taken weeks. Was it sat there, sorted all out, and then she also helped put together a spreadsheet for how much everybody owes for all this, that, and for how much she put together a spreadsheet for how much everybody owes for the Airbnb. She has a spreadsheet for how much everybody's going to put in together for food. We're organizing cars and everything for rides right now. I'm just like, man, bro, like had I not had you, I don't know what I would have been doing. And then leaning into that point further, right? Was going into how I was saying, midway through my South Padre trip, I'm actually going to be leaving for some business. It's going to be my first paid modeling shoot. Prayers to God that I get the opportunity, right? What was it? And that whole opportunity was given by way of another relationship that I built out. Literally, one of my friends that I had met whenever I first started acting and modeling at 15 or 16 years old, and I still kept that relationship till this day. I told him, "Hey man, I'm interning over at a film studio. We have table reads like once every month. You definitely got to come through one of these days. I'm gonna shoot you the link next time I get it, bro, ASAP. Hey, as soon was it like my principle is whenever I eat, my people should eat too." So he was like, "Hey man, bro, I appreciate that." So then he saw that act of love and everything like that, right? A few weeks later, everything like that, he's like, "Hey man, RJ, bro, they're gonna be showing up a premiere of my movie over down in Dallas, and there might be some good agents and everything out there, bro. I want you to come out and come meet these people." I'm just like, "Yeah, bro, I'll be there." So I book it down to Dallas, go down to go and see his movie. Me and him are having a great time, everything like that. And I'm sitting there. Honestly, I was just at that point. I was just there to help support my friend and and just glad to be in the room, right? Because that's one thing I've also learned this point in period in life is it's just sometimes powerful to just be in the room. So like I was just sitting there and just enjoying my time and everything like that. And then I ended up accidentally bumping into and networking with the sister of one of the head production leads of the entire movie. And like, cause I was sitting there, I was taking some pictures of my friend while he was up there on the panel in his suit, talking with the director and the casting and this, that, whatever, right? And I was like, man, like, I'm just glad to get these pictures from him and go ahead and send them to him. After I got those pictures, he said, "Oh yeah, how'd you end up getting here? Who do you know?" I was like, "Oh, man, he was. And me and him actually grew up modeling together, this, that, and third." He's like, "Oh my god, that's so cool." And then was just like, "Oh man, you should definitely go and reach out with my sister." Then I'm just like, "Oh, well, okay." And I come over to go and start walking over to his sister, and I overhear my friend Manny just saying, "Oh yeah, what is it? The sister?" She says, "Hey, was it who's your friend signed to?" And Manny goes like, "Oh, he's not signed. We're trying to work on that right now." It's like, "Oh, we gotta fix that. We gotta fix that." You said you guys grew up together? We definitely we're gonna go ahead and get you signed. And I was just like, okay, if you say so. Later on, going through that whole night, Manny go ahead and shoots me a text. "Hey RJ, bro, what are you doing March 16th, man?" Camille just hit me up and said, "Hey, there's gonna be a photo shoot for Alienware. It's gonna be paying $200. It's gonna be down in Austin." She said it's not paying too much, but it's gonna be a great opportunity to build up your portfolio, right? In my head, I was like, bro, it could have been $10. I would have been there. Was a paid photo shoot is a paid photo shoot that is going to look great on your resume. It's going to look great in your portfolio. I said, yeah, I'm there. Book me down for that now. Then not only that, I came out to find out, man, he said, "Hey, bro, Camille is fighting for us to get more pay out of this photo shoot." I'm just like, man, the way God will work for some work through some people. Like, was just out of the fact that I simply continue to work and cater on that relationship, care for him as a person, and continue to just pour into it, right? And seeing how far it took me now. And then one last point in talking about to the power of friends and family. For those who are listening, I don't know if anybody's ever heard of Jordan Peterson before, right? But he is a Canadian psychologist and probably one of the smartest men I have ever heard speak in person. And he's also Christian, which that is a great cherry on top, because as somebody who loves to listen to psychology and loves to listen to philosophy and all these other great things, oftentimes most of those very, very intelligent men aren't Christian. They're going to be giving it from evolutionist perspective, talking about how our minds how our minds evolved as monkeys, not to take into mind mental health. So that's the reason why we have so many problems in our own heads as human beings. Hearing this man Jordan Peterson talk made me sit there like, don't get me wrong, I wasn't sitting there waving my faith before, but I felt on fire after this, because I was like, I didn't know that a scientist could give a sermon. I was just like, man, what? So I was sitting there, and the whole reason why this even came about was the matter of fact that one of my other close friends, Christian, called me up and he said, "Hey man, RJ, I know you're somebody who loves knowledge. Jordan Peterson's coming to town. I got an extra ticket. You want to come?" Bro, what time, what day? I'll call up for work. I'll be there. Drove up out there, wrote an entire, almost 2 pages worth of notes listening to this man talk, and just had an absolutely great time. And then also getting to sit there with Christian's dad, who was actually now one of my was one of the people who I consider a mentor in life, for how much he's helped me and helped lead me through his leadership training. Going through all that, looking at how powerful it can be, just catering and fostering those great relationships in life. And I think that has been one of the major things that I've learned in this coming chapter. And especially leaning into the whole fact that I had this false narrative in my head of being an introvert and being a bit afraid to talk to people, this, that, and third, and deciding to stray away from that narrative into going to the fact that you can become whoever you need to become. I've seen the power in it. And so I think that people, friends, family, all those other great things can be so, so, so crucial into the matter of the fact that, hey, you give what you give back. And honestly, in some cases, it seems like you give more, whatever you give, you're going to get back more, what it seems like. Because for me, I'm sitting out here just checking on people, just making sure that someone's okay, doing what to me seems like the bare minimum for a good friend. And in turn, they're trying to move mountains, trying to sit here and just, "Hey, RJ, I'm trying to do the best for you because you were there for me in a down moment." Knowing how powerful some of those things can be is truly eye-opening. So it leaves me excited for the rest of my years, and leaves me especially happy for all the people and all the great family and friends I have at this age of 21.
21, ladies and gentlemen, you're hearing it live right here on Effective Living YouTube and Facebook channel. I wanted to take this time out as RJ's dad to just really dive in and ask him his opinion on some stuff. And he's 21 today, and he is growing into being a very, very distinguished young adult man. He did well in his elementary, middle school, and high school years, and now he's in college. Growing up to do extremely well in college and working out and looking a little buff, and people trying to blame it on genetics. But tell them, RJ, you do put in the work. You do put in the work. I'm going to dive into a couple more, and we're going to shorten our talk down to this end part. These responses, you can give me a little bit shorter, quicker response so we can work the time frame out. But these going to be hot topics. So these last three is hot topics that we're diving into. And so this one, I've had a number of people who have asked me over the years, hey man, you went through a divorce. RJ, how is he? How is he? And I would say to them, let me tell you something, on both sides of the spectrum, me looking at the situation from both sides of the fence, I must say he deserves the MVP medal for outstanding response to what is to a lot of people devastating. And it could have been devastating that your mom and your dad got a divorce at a very important time of your life. But you responded differently, and you continue to respond differently. And I told you on numerous occasions, I'm proud of you because of, I don't feel like you did the side thing. And then outside of the fact that your mom and dad got a divorce, you still consistently decided to move forward in doing well and doing right with your life. Because some people would have taken that on to be their life's burden. Talk to us a little bit about that, because that's going to help somebody, even though we're celebrating you on your 21st birthday tonight. We're talking about the healthy, mature behavior you started operating in from 16, 16, 17, 18. You started, how you respond to some of the challenges your friends had to deal with. And I remember talking with you, and you told me, this is what I told my friend when life threw a curveball that was unexpected. This is what happened to another friend, and this is how I respond. You chose to respond in a very mature, respectable way. Give our viewers tonight just what keeps you level-headed in regards to the balancing act of, hold on, I'm not going to allow the fact that my mom and dad got a divorce to break me, but I'm going to be a healthy, possibly man and all that I can moving forward. What do you say there?
I would say that the whole process was definitely interesting to say, and I think that one of the most powerful impacting parts that I would say I gathered from it is having a good village around me. To say, like, was going through the whole thing, I remember Jason, Jordan, Mark, and all them. They were especially there for me as a support group going through the whole period. Considering the fact that both their parents also experienced divorce, however, at much younger ages for them.
Yeah.
Like, they were walking through the whole process, and they were able to say, just like, hey man, like, it's going to be a rough time, but we're here for you. Although your family is split, your family has not gotten smaller. To be able to show that, right? I think that is a point, is something that became very powerful for me in my head, to understand that the fact that although that things are going to look different, things aren't going to be the same. I think that I think that understanding in the thought process that I have as a person for me, I'm very, very introspective. For those who may not know, I was, as an only child, was given ample time to sit there and simmer on whatever you could imagine in life. So, in that being the case, I think that one of the major things that came to my mind whenever simmering and sitting on these thoughts is the fact that, was given all the amazing wisdom that you had given me, or given all the amazing wisdom my Uncle Ken had given me, like all these other great different sources of great wisdom that were poured into me, gave me the ability to discern and understand the fact that life is always going to continue changing. And and the way that life changes, it may not always be a small change or a small shift. It may not be as simple as me growing my hair out a little bit, or me getting a little bigger, or getting a tattoo. It may be something that is truly paradigm shifting, as your entire family dynamic and structure changing. With that being the fact, your family dynamic change there was a similar depth of change before I was even here. Like whenever you guys first got married, there was a similar depth of impact of change when you had me. So think about the fact that there was still a way to make a joyful moment out of that.
Yeah.
It gave me the fortitude to understand the fact that it's not a matter of, oh, RJ, your happy period is not gone. It's just changed.
Yeah.
What was it? It was it. It's not like although my Christmases may not will never look the same as they did whenever I was 13, 14, growing up with all my cousins in the house and everybody was over here for Christmas. It was for Christmas and we're playing White Elephant with all my different family members and all that. However, to know, if I sit there and stay in the mentality of, oh, I've lost, I'm never gonna be able to appreciate what I've gained in turn.
Yeah.
And so I think that that's probably one of the most powerful and impactful lessons that's helped me get through a lot of this, I'm only 21, and I think that I actually did an interview yesterday on my internship on the film studio, and I made another joke talking about, I'm only 20 guys, and was at the time for whenever I was doing the internship, I'm only 20 guys, and I don't have any kids. However, I think that one of the biggest things that can come in as an analogy for at least me understanding how important and impactful people are is making an analogy for a child. And so for me, one of the things that made it easier for me to carry this on and shoulder this on for having a optimistic mindset for what my future looks like for the whole family wise is if I sit here and continue to paint all the things that have happened in my family life in a negative light, whenever I have my kids, how am I ever supposed to make them feel happy about whatever situation they've been given to? Yeah. I want them to be able to. I want them to be just as happy to go and see Uncle Ricardo as he is. Go and see Grandpa Ricardo as he would be to go and see Grandma Aisha. I want him to be just as happy to go and see both sides of that family, and to get there in that first point, I have to make sure that both of these houses are at peace with me, and I'm at peace with them. Yeah. So that's like my short little point on it. I know we got two other hot topics. I'm excited to hear what those are. So let's keep it moving.
Yeah, I'm excited to know what those are. You mentioned, I just want to piggyback on play off of something just now. I notice your intentional behavior, and I want to speak to this because I really believe it's going to help somebody that's watching. You've chosen to be intentional enough. Mother's Day, you show up for your mother and you honor her and you try your best to be there for her. Father's Day, you try to show up and honor me and you're there for me. Christmas time, you chose to, hey, listen, Dad, I'm coming to Christmas to you guys. I'm going to be there half a day and then I got to drive 3 hours and I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to hang with Mom. Thanksgiving, you said the day before Thanksgiving, you went to East Texas. The Thanksgiving Day, you drove in and came in to spend time with us. That's at 20. Tonight, you're celebrating 21. I just want you to know I am incredibly proud of how you've chosen to mature as a man and respond in a healthy way, because that attitude is the most richest of behavior for somebody who's inclined to do well in life. Because like you just mentioned, the goal is to be able to go over to see Grandpa, to be able to go see Grandma, and to be able to understand, hey, listen, it's all about living life effectively. It's all about living life to the fullest with the cards that have been dealt to you. And so I salute you, man. I salute you big time for how you continue to show up in that way. And I know your mom, she respects you and see your intentional connection to loving her. And I mentioned to you're her only child. So make sure you look over your mama. Call your mother. Don't take too long. Go check up on your mother. Go by and be a blessing to your mother. You know what I mean? And a lot of times young men, they mature up and they distance from both parents or one parent. But I'm just really, really proud of you and how you show up. My next area of talk is boy meets girl. You had girlfriends, man. You think I was going to let that one pass? I'm talking about them girlfriends, man. You've had some girlfriends, man. You've had a couple of girlfriends who broke your heart. I mean, you almost didn't want to come out of bed. You was like, keep the blinds closed. I won't come out of the bed. Probably call Uncle Ken. Uncle Ken got to give you one of them Uncle Ken wisdom moment. Come on, sit down with me. And then you come talk to me, and I'm like, hey, man, hey. It's a part of the journey, okay? Yeah. Come on, don't get in your feelings. You know what I mean? I'm there, hey, man. Don't get in your feelings. And so You've learned. You said something to me. You said that I watched you a couple of times, and I remember you saying something, and I'm going to practice that. And that's what you did. You said I took some time off, and I cleared my head up, and I made sure my heart was guarded. Talk to us a little bit about that boy meets girl, this whole relationship thing that you've had to navigate through, where you were disappointed by some girls, where the behavior wasn't what you thought it would be, that a relationship it had to end. But now you're 21, and you're not an angry black man. You're a mature man who is respecting the fact that relationships don't always last. What do you have to say to our viewers?
I think that for me, man, I was it. I always kind of laugh on the subject of relationships because I can talk about, knowledge and human dynamics, but when
Yeah.
it comes to wisdom and relationships, I am fully in the understand that I am learning a lot of this still. Oh man, I am nowhere near professional in this, and I always feel odd talking about it. And what was it? And just trying to speak on the whole subject, but what was it? Understanding the fact that and the mistakes and everything I made and in the knowledge that I've gained in the correct ways that I've moved, it can help out so many other people out there. So I think that one of the things that I've definitely learned in my experience going through relationships is learning the balance and reservedness and how much to give and how much to take and how much to hold back for yourself, right?
Wow,
I
wow.
think that was you saw as a common theme for me growing up in my relationships is, man, I was a hard lover. Boy, I was it, man. We sit there first 3 weeks of relationship, I'm buying you flowers, chocolates, and your favorite candy. And it's just like, what? I'm just like, yeah, no, just like, hey, like, will you marry me? Like, bro, what? Um, growing up at a young age, just like was it in the whole date to marry mentality and everything like that. And there's nothing wrong with the whole with that as a prospect, right? However, in the wisdom that I've learned and having great conversations with you and Uncle Ken and other various mentors in life is the understanding of the fact that, marriage, first of all, is a huge, 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 huge thing. Something you should be very, very, very picky and particular about.
Yeah.
So, in that being the case, right, rushing it was it. One of the things that I've learned and I'm leaning very into now is the fact that it was if I'm willing, like I can't be willing to give everyone that steps up to the plate that much capacity because was it not everybody's was it not everybody. I'm going to use a sports analogy because I feel like it works a bit easier in this, right? Not everybody who comes as a first round draft pick is going to be LeBron.
Right.
Not everybody who comes into the league, even as an all-star in your first 5 years, is going to be LeBron.
Yeah.
Shoot, even the first 15 years, you still might not be the best. You might not be the person to go out who you retire with to go and sip some great tea with on the porch. But the thing is that there was still greatness and knowledge to be gained from that regardless.
Yeah. Yeah.
So with that being the case, that's the whole concept that I'm trying to lean into much more now. I'm trying to learn much more about myself and what I like. What are my red flags? What are my green flags? RJ, acknowledge these things and stay by them. It's okay to make exceptions for friends, but in relationship wise, you have to stand on what you stand on because I understand the fact that, if you make compromises now, you're going to pay for them later in the future. And and where I make compromises now for myself, it may be sitting there, I'll sit there and it's like, okay, yeah, this red flag that I ignored for now, I can sit here and deal with it for her for now. I sit there, date this girl for 4 years, end up getting married with her, be married with her for 8 years, and then end up having to go and get a divorce. And what was it? And heaven forbid, because of the fact that I completely ignored these fundamental things that I knew I needed or I knew I didn't need,
Yeah.
and it ended up sowing a bad seed in the relationship.
Yeah.
So I think that that's something that I'm heavily leaning into now. And however, that learning process is certainly quite a thing. Was it one of the things that we actually had in my office over my work study job recently is a session of relationships, and I was talking about what was it? One of the things that I always want to pick older people and people who I feel like have more wisdom on the subject than me's mind about is the concept of how to honorably date around and find out what you like. Because,
Yeah.
was it obviously, not to sit here and gas myself up too much, but I'm not a bad looking young man. And
Right.
I'm not, was it, and I am pretty intelligent for what's given. Was it knowing it was and in understanding my value as a young man and where I need to go, it's also understanding the fact that how do I properly deal with and learning the landscape to the dating world, especially in this modern landscape, man. Like, shoot, I was sitting here talking to, was it in our panel? We had some great people give some great wisdom, but
Yeah.
they were able to say, just like, hey, at the end of the day, you guys' generation gap difference is so much more different than ours.
Yeah. Yeah.
Man, I can sit here and scroll for 5 minutes and meet more girls or have more interactions with more girls than some guys 15 years ago would have had in a month.
Yeah.
Like, was it easily just at the snap of a finger, at the swipe of a finger, right? So like thinking about all that and then taking all these different things into account, it's been something that it can be quite jarring and quite overwhelming at times, but then also to understand the fact that this is all going to be a part of the journey. I think
Yeah.
that one of the things that that brings me peace in times of turmoil is the fact that nothing was ever made nothing worthwhile was ever made easy. Like I remember, I don't know why this is the point that keeps on sticking out to me from your sermon, but I remember like in the was you were walking up and down the stage in your sermon, and somebody said just like, oh yeah, like what was it like, how can God put us through all these bad things, if he's supposed to want to have to, if he wants us to have all these great things, why are we going through so much bad stuff? And it's just like, and you sat there and said, I don't know what Bible y'all are reading, but they didn't have an easy journey. Jesus' life wasn't easy, Peter's life wasn't easy, John's life wasn't easy. None of their lives were easy. But then look at the impact that they had on it. Look at the impact and the ripple effect of what they had all the way up until today. And I think that, like, going into the last point I'm gonna have on this question is something that is a conversation I had with my friend and coworker Javon recently, is in the fact that, like I was sitting and thinking about, I was like, man, bro, why does it feel like sometimes just life won't give up, man? I'll be like, man, bro, like I sit here, I finally get over a relationship, and then boom, I get a whole bunch of drama, so my feelings are hurt again. And then as soon as that finishes up, boom, I have some family problems. And then as soon as it finishes up, boom, I have some friend problems. I'm just like, man, bro, why can't I get a break? Why can't I just have a girl who wants to sit there, we can go and go and watch some movies, go and paint in the park, and just enjoy our time together? I'm like, well, RJ, what you want is a lot. I had to realize that in my head. I was just like, you want a great woman. I was just like, it's not like you want just you want an amazing woman. You want a woman who's going to be loyal, who's going to sit there and listen to all the millions of words that you are going to say in a day. You want somebody who is, and not only that, but ain't gonna get bored and tired of it, who is still gonna have those same soft eyes listen to me for the first sentence as she will the last sentence. I want both those. I want someone who's going to be able to sit there and experience life with me in the same in the same capacity that I want to. I'm adventurous. I want to go and try new things. I want somebody else who can go and be adventurous and try those things with me. And in that as well, I want somebody who's ambitious, who wants to go and do great things in life, who wants to build a legacy. I also want someone who wants kids, who wants a few kids, who wants to adopt, because I believe that there's a foster crisis in America. RJ, you want a lot. You have a lot of requirements for what you want for a woman. And so in that being the case, it's not going to be easy to find her. And with that being the case, also in that, you have to understand it's not going to be easy to be that man that you need to be for her when you do find her. So was it in that whole process, that whole journey, I understand that I need to continue to build up and go through these struggles and these hard times for a reason. All these are all just character building moments. All these are all just building up for a great victory in the end. Every time you miss a shot, I think that was it coming back to the great basketball analogy. Every time you miss a free throw, you're just building up for the next made free throw in a game. So, understand the fact that all these different trials and experiences in life, they're all just building up for a great victory in the end. And, you have to go and break a few eggs and make a great omelet. So,
yeah, you have to go and break a few eggs to make a great omelet. Ladies and gentlemen, those are the words of R.J. Miller. I could have a whole conversation with you on that whole relationship thing. We're going to do a few more of these later if the Lord sees fit. But my last question is I remember having to tell you a number of times, stop being so in your feelings. Oh man, come on your feelings, boy. You just man up, okay? Man up. And this one is a hard one. I don't know if it's a hard one, but it's a unique one. The jerkish seasons that I brought to your life up to 21. Okay, I want to talk about. You gotta be kidding me, Dad. This dude, you gotta be kidding me, right? And I didn't write these questions down. These are just generally from my heart. I want to talk, and I said, I'm interested in hearing your views on. There's been moments. I remember when you were living with me, and we had a little argument back and forth, and I had to learn to not try to overtalk you, which was more of a control dominant way. And I had to learn how to start listening to you. And we started our monthly father and son breakfast time. And I started to let you talk and not being the controlling, very, very opinionated dad, to the point where I try to let you express yourself. Still learning how to do that. And I told you, I said, hey, listen, I'm getting better with age. My goal is, even still, the best of my fatherhood years for you is still in front of me. Right. I still believe that as you get older, there will be more to give still in the latter years, because I think as long as we coexist, if I'm getting better, then you should be able to still lean on the wisdom of my so many years in front of you to glean from that. You've been able to do that with Uncle Ken over the years. He's just been that rock solid, consistent person that you can ask a question to, and he provides you wisdom, right? And so I've been one of those persons who want to do that. So the question I have for you, the last question that I want us to dive into, looking back over 21 years, you and I think, have a great relationship, but there has been a lot of misunderstandings. There may have been a lot of moments where I just don't understand this man. He don't get me. And how did you cope with that? And let's talk about a few of them that may have been, bad. This one right here, I think you could have responded different. And, and probably still don't respond the best to some of them. But I'll tell you this, in a very comfortable way, on your 21st birthday, I made it a commitment moving forward that there is no conversation I'm not prepared to have anymore. I am 47 years old, and now I have a son who's 21 years old. You can pick up the phone, come on over to the house, we're having breakfast, and put anything on the table. This is what we need to talk about. We just got to talk about it. I may not like it. I may not agree with it. We may not walk away on the same page of the point, but we're going to still be able to talk about it.
Yeah.
And that's what I want to be known for in this season and beyond in your life. Now, with that said, I know I wasn't always the best example, even though I still think I brought something good to the table. I'm not you for which you could say clearly, boy, you didn't get me here, you didn't get me here, you didn't get me here, you didn't get me here. Go ahead, put a couple of those didn't get me here moments, and it was hard moments for you. What did you get from a few of those?
So I think that so if I'm gonna I'll give off about 2 moments, and then I'll go into the reasoning and like why I think that we ended up into where we're at now, right? Yeah. So going off into one of the first particular moments, I remember it's kind of hard to recall exact memories at this point, but I remember like we had a lot of different clash and conflict in talking about the whole concept of my emotional states, and the fact that I grew up as a extremely, extremely emotional child. Like, just like everything for me was an absolutely open gate. Emotions were always one of my sleeve. I took almost like I'm still working on it today to take stuff less personally. Just in the matter of fact that everything was emotions for me, and that was like what came at the forefront. And then realizing what I usually paint to that was whenever I'm trying to paint the picture for my friends, I'll be like, it's one of my favorite things also is the fact that it can relate to adding on to the immigrant fact, but here's how I'll phrase it, right? I'll be like, yeah, you guys will see. Most of my friends know me now as a very cool, calm, and collected person. They see me blow up for almost nothing. And that's because of the matter of fact that I saw what my emotions have done, and I saw what errors and things that my emotions could see me go through. They could make me say words I didn't want to say. They could make me have actions I would regret almost immediately afterwards. So I was just like, man, understanding that made me curb them to come back. But I was just like, yeah, whenever I'm explaining the fact and how me and my dad's relationship had grown, whenever people said just like, oh yeah, my relationship isn't great with my dad, I want to get to like you and your dad's relationship, like y'all have RJ. I'm just like, bro, you wouldn't know. Me and my dad were not cool until like 18. It was just like, wait, seriously? Like, yeah, no, bro, because like the fact is, I was like for everybody who's close to my age generation, this definition is going to explain it enough, but I'm going to go ahead and explain it further after I say it. I was a sensitive, light-skinned child, and my dad was a black immigrant coming in from America who had everything on his back to prove and grew up in the streets. So you can see there was quite a large disparity in understanding there. There was me who I have to talk, and also with that being the fact that literally every person I've talked to whenever it comes to the whole first generation immigrant story, talking about the fact that talking about my friend Zara, who her friends are from Iraq. I mean her family's from Iraq. Or talking about to my friend, some of my African friends who were Nigerians and this, that, whatever, and from Rwanda and everything like that. All of us can across the board agree. All of our dads coming over, if they say a point, it is their point, and that's it. So, just like, yeah, I say immigrant black father, and they're just like, okay, yeah, we get you. You don't even guys say anything else after that. So was with that being the point, right? Like was that automatically caused a ton of issues in the matter of fact just communication styles. And then it came into the fact that understanding, like for me also, I think that for me having a lot of time to be introspective, going through therapy for a bit and everything like that, learning the fact that all the things that you went through was that they also built you into the person that you became. You were someone who didn't have your own dad to have a model to base everything off of and everything like that, right? So looking at it like this, I was just like, man, just communication styles was not a good combination for us growing up. For me, I need to have everything need to be a back and forth conversation. What was it? It was like whether I was 6 years old, barely talking, I'm sitting there trying to have a conversation. I don't want to just you tell me everything. No, I got words to say too, bro.
Yeah.
Like, what was it? It's been like that ever since then, even growing up through that. And however, in the contrast to that was if whenever talking across the board for immigrant fathers and whatever everything like that, it's their way or the highway is what usually the term that's used, right? So just that in itself made things difficult. But then to go into the contrast of how things worked on the inside for each other, right? For me, my emotions were always coming out first, flowing out everywhere. Like I remember literally as a kid to get so then I didn't explain it, right? Talking about the sensitive light skin thing. What was it? Like it's a pretty big like trend and everything on Instagram, everything like that, and social media is like light skins are always super, super extra, super, super was you hit them once and it's like like was it super dramatic, right? So just like, yeah, was in that right. I was super light skinned the way that I act. I remember literally the time in which I stopped crying about small stuff was I was in my room looking at like my, I think, second grade yearbook, and I was crying about the fact that I stressed the teacher out too many times. I was just like, I was such a bad student. And I remember like my mom, like, came in, she was like, RJ, why are you crying? And I was just like, cause I should have treated Miss Boston better. She was just like, RJ, you can't keep crying about stuff like this because when you cry, it makes me cry. It makes me sad. I was just like, oh, seriously? I was like, yeah. I was like, okay, I'll stop then. But then, like, going on from there, I remember that was just like a really, really pivotal moment for my emotions, everything like that, right? But, obviously, stuff, tons of tears shed from there. So with it being the case that for me, everything was emotional, everything was emotions on my sleeve. In contrast for you, growing up, not only growing up as a black man who lived the ghetto life of the streets and this, that, and third, which I'm still learning more about to this day. I remember hearing some of your stories talking about the times you grew up on Soldier Road. I'm just like, how have I been alive for 21 years and I've never heard that dad used to do that. I'm just like, bro, what? So it's just like was that just one aspect of growing up on the streets, and the second aspect of not having a father yourself, and the third aspect of your own home dynamics and your family not being perfect in its own right, and then coming all the way up to the United States and having no support system and just your wife and your kid. It's just like, man, like I experience it personally on a frequent basis. The fact that I feel like as a man, I just gotta shoulder it on and just, keep it pushing. Was I sat there and got told some very, very, very dramatic news by a close friend, and literally you could see it on my face that I was going through it. But anytime somebody asked me if I was okay, I said, yeah, I'm good, and just kept it pushing. As a man, I sat there, didn't disclose my emotions, didn't disclose how I was feeling. I eventually had a conversation, talked about it, dealt with it in a healthy way. But that was a young 20-year-old who's gone through therapy, who has both parents, who has an uncle who sits there and talks about his emotional stuff, who has a bunch of friends who are of all different ages and genders and everything like that. They give him so many different perspectives in life. That is a major reason as to why I, as a 20-year-old, were able to have that healthy breakdown of that perspective as a man of, having to just shoulder everything on. You, however, may not have had that same luxury. So that being the case, I feel like that was another second major aspect as to why, we just didn't see eye to eye. We didn't meet up on the same page for a lot of different stuff. But then going through all that, right, I feel like I feel like most people could probably tell through just the way that I'm phrasing up all these different conversations and how I'm talking about was our relationship and how it's grown. Is the matter of the fact that the reason why I stuck around and why was it like I feel like our relationship got to where it is today is the matter of the fact that, I understood where my mistakes came in. I understood where my dad's mistakes came in, but I also understood the fact that I'm going to need my dad in the future. And I was just like, man, like I remember late having the conversation with my mom. I was just like, hey, I think I'm moving with dad. And then she was just like, why? And I was just like, because I'm gonna be getting ready to have for college. I'm getting ready to graduate. And I feel like, once a young man gets ready to go off to college, it's not like he gets closer to his parents. He gets much, much, much farther. I'm literally gonna be moving out. There's going to be no logistical reason for me to be seeing you guys like on a day-to-day basis. I'm just like, I see my was at the time I was staying with mom, saw her every day because I live with her. And she's the person who I felt like raised me up in pretty much the majority of the right?
Yeah.
She was the person who saw me on a day-to-day basis whenever you were traveling this, that, and third, right? So I was like, yeah, I see you on a day-to-day basis, but I almost never see my dad. And anytime we did get to see, the communication style was still the issue. The emotions were still the issue. So I was just like, man, I feel like this is my last chance to really get to see us grow and blossom. It was the last chance to get us to save our relationship, right? So I remember in that, right? Telling the story was anytime I go back to the store, I just kind of laugh looking back at it because literally none of the people in my corner were like, this is a good idea. My friends, Jason, Jordan, and all of them were just like, RJ, the amount of times we've seen you have like veins in your forehead rants about your dad, and it's just like, and you're gonna move in with them in your college years when you're going to be the most independent as a man, like we don't see the I'm not connecting the dots here. When you go and tell Green Uncle Ken, they were just like, RJ, we don't know, that's a good decision. Just like my mom was just like, yeah, RJ, no, it's a terrible decision. Completely ignored everybody else in that, right? I felt this is what laid on my heart. I was just like, hey, this is my last opportunity. I feel like to be able to salvage something from my relationship with my dad. Going through the whole process, we obviously went through so many ups and downs and everything that came through it, right? I remember in all the different times we had conversations, I remember at a certain point in time, I was just like, hey, I just beeline to my room every time so I don't have to have the risk of having an argument because I don't feel like getting my emotions riled up like that. Because for me, the way that I feel like one of the things I also gathered in was in staying with you and was in all the different arguments / debates, whatever you want to call it, growing up that we had, is the matter of the fact that I now know how to have a disagreement with somebody but still maintain a level head. Because for me, what it used to be before is just like, hey, you disagree with me, I'm taking that to heart and I'm taking it personally, and it's just immediately pop back off of the mouth. Immediately, just like, well, not pop back off the mouth, but just like, hey, all right, yeah, no, like, here's my point and you got to see it my way too. So like, like now I have a much more level head and way to deal with stuff. Because before it used to be the way, just like, hey, immediately once we get into this clash, my heart starts beating faster, my nose is flaring, I'm sweating, I am emotionally invested into it. So I was just like, all right, cool. But then I remember one of the major conversations in which I had a turning point, where the first time in like an argument that we had, it didn't just hit a peak and then just die out. It actually came back down and settled back out. Like I remember sitting there talking, and then I said just like I don't even remember what I said. Said something like, "Oh, Dad, I want to be heard," or "Oh, this was said," or something was said, right? And I literally saw like the features in your face soften a bit, and then just like, all right, cool. And then the room went a bit quiet, and both of our tones of voices lowered just gradually, and then just turned to a conversation. And then that led into a long snowball chain, was a chain effect into where we are today. And I remember just looking back at the whole process of it, and all, I'm just like, man, bro, if there is one decision I could say I would redo every single time if reincarnation was a real thing. It would be one of the number one decisions, is deciding to go and live with you for that time period. And also it taught me so many different things from responsibility, help build and repair a relationship. It did so many other great things that are priceless now for me at this point. So yeah, what was it? That's that.
I remember those tough, difficult, strong conversation. You said something, and I don't remember. It's not about me. It's about what you were sharing. But you said something that I remember thinking. This is how I was raised, and I'm gonna raise you. And then there was this other point. Hey, when a kid is 16, 17, 18, 19, you just got to manhandle them and get them to respect you, versus learn them and grow with them, with the concept of how you would have talked to him at 10 has to change at 15, has to change at 20, has, there's these different changes. And that was one of my wake up moments. And I think when you and I were going back and forward, I was still dealing with, hey man, listen, there's only one man in this house. And that was culture. That was Caribbean, that was Bahamas, that was black man, it was so much unhealthy dynamics within that statement. There's only one man in this house, that I had to change and says, hold on. I remember you saying, you're not hearing me. You're hard to talk to. You're horrible. Pretty much. My interpretation now was that you were horrible to talk to. And I was like, man, And I had to try to change my approach. And I think that's when we started really getting the benefit out of the father and son breakfast. Because we had them before, but they weren't as they've been in probably the last 3 years.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So, wow. So, ladies and gentlemen, today we're celebrating RJ's 21st birthday. I wanted to dive in and talk to him about, now that he's 21. Now that he's 21, I'm real proud of him. I love how he is showing up and choosing to learn how to be an adult. I believe the best is yet to come for you, son. And I think you're going to make your mom proud. You're going to continue to make Aunt Alvin and Uncle Ken proud. You're going to make your bonus mom, Karen, proud. You're going to make Granny Eunice in the Bahamas. The Bahamas cheers you on. They love you. Bahamas loves you strong. And so we're going to do a father and son trip. I told Keem, your god brother, he's like a big brother. You got to meet him. He's in Canada. And I said, RJ and I are coming to Canada because I want you all to spend some time together. And then you meet all of the other godchildren that I have. But you've been a son to be proud of all along. And so I'm proud of you. You're 21. You're going on this trip. And you're not going to be a knucklehead. You're going to be safe. You're going to be responsible. You've never followed the crowd. And I don't think you're going to start following the crowd at 21. And so I'm excited for what God is going to do in you and through you. I'm believing God, and I'm asking my viewing audience to pray God's divine blessing over my son, that whatever he puts his hands to will prosper, and that his decisions will be in line with his purpose, and that every day forward will be days of success and progress and growth. And remember this, RJ, growth has pain attached to it. That's why it's called growing pains. But please note, the more you want to grow, the more you have to be prepared to embrace the pain that comes with growth. And that's going to happen in finance, in relationship, in faith. That's going to happen in the physical body. That's going to happen in every aspect. More is more. So on your 21st birthday, my comment to you is, as you pursue more, remember more comes more responsibility, more discipline, more perspective. More is more. So, man, I love you so much. And Karen sends her love. And we're going to take you out for dinner. We're going to celebrate with you for your birthday. And we know that the next conversation you and I have, we got to talk 21 and between 21 and 30. I want to talk with you about the next 9 years. I'm interested in seeing what God does in you and through you. And, I'm a supporter. I'm a believer in you. And so what's mine is yours, And so the Bible said, good man leaves an inheritance for his children's children. So I'm not working for me. You're my namesake. One day I believe, God, that we'll transition from one Ricardo Miller to another Ricardo Miller.
Yes,
and the dynasty and destiny continues. RJ, love you so much. Ladies and gentlemen, you've heard from RJ Miller on his 21st birthday. It's documented. This is something him and I will go back to and watch while we're sitting at the lake at the retreat center, or we're traveling. And we decided to go back and dissect both of our views and see how we're continuing to get better with age. If you haven't already, go ahead and put a happy birthday in the comment section. RJ, on your 21st birthday, any shout out to anybody? You have a bunch of people who love you. Any shout out in closing?
Sure, man. I don't want to take another hour, but what I want to say was I'll make it a bit easy. So I want to say thank you and shouts to literally every single one of my bits of the Bahamas family. Like, I still have so many almost tear brimming moments of joy was going back to all memories back over there. I want to say thank you to all my family out in East Texas. I want to say thank you to all my village that I have here in the local DFW area. I want to say thank you to my Pathway family to seeing you guys grow me up. I want to say thank you to all my family that I've grown up through my Adventist system and everything like that. And I want to say thank you for pretty much everybody who played a major part in the growth of what it is for my life. And I would honestly say every hand I've shaken, every hug I've given, every word that I've probably spoken to, everybody played some kind of small part. So then to also lastly say, I want to say, give a shout outs to my brothers and give a shout outs to my immediate family, my granny, my uncle Kim, my mom, my dad, you, Karen, what was it? Jason, Jordan, Mark, my friend Javon, was a great friend that I met through here in college. Man of God, man, was it? He is probably my favorite. I would say he is my twin whenever it comes to growth and progress. So I would say thank you for him as well. And thank you for my friends T to be and all of them as well. So just thank you for everyone. Was everyone who always continues to continue sending out all those prayers. And I do genuinely think that for all those times that I thought that I didn't know where I was walking on the path. I felt a bit blind. I think that all those quiet praying nights, that those times that I didn't even know that people all across the world were praying for me, I think that that's what truly brought me back to where I am today, and is going to continue to bring me on to great things ahead to come. So thank you so much. Thank you once again. This has been a great conversation. This has been a great time. And thank you for all the 21st birthday wishes, everyone. Oh, you guys will see me online, see me on social media. I'll make sure to make plenty of birthday posts and everything like that. So you'll see it. Gonna make a highlight reel of South Padre too. So make sure you guys can feel like you're along for the ride.
Good
Thank
stuff. Good stuff. Love you, son. God bless you. Happy birthday. Listen, ladies and gentlemen, once again, put a comment in the comment section to RJ. Today he turns 21 years old. Love you, son. God bless.